several districts, and each one has a planning board and its volunteers, but they are selected, they are professionals, and they advise the government. So some kind of a system of public participation that is smart and not just very irresponsible or loose. I think that has to be created, but that is an essential input into that. And the first question was? Yeah, right. Yeah, so the density issue is important. Mumbai is already twice as dense as New York. Not Manhattan, but all of New York, about twice. But then almost the same as Seoul. And most Asian cities are seeing densities that you never ever saw in the world. So this is a completely new thing. There's no examples. We have to develop the examples. We have to be creative about it. And Eastern Waterfront could be a great opportunity to become the lungs of the city, to open up the city so the public spaces, there are larger public spaces there, but fingers of those public spaces come right into Mumbai and perhaps connect the western seafront to the eastern seafront. So we have to think in these mega manners, and we have to think of the big, beautiful vision. Only then we can energize everybody to work with us. So let's have more questions, because your question is on.
I think we should take one last set of questions and then you have to break.
Okay.
Very good morning, Geetaji. My name is Ratan D. I would like to emphasize that, of course, Bombay is an island city, but we don't have water sports which have been developed. Now there has been a proposal mooted to have a marina, for sailing enthusiasts, which is obviously have the most favorable situation on the east side. How exactly would that fit into a smart city, as you have given various examples?
Thank you. There's also a question here. Please, can we bring the microphone?
My name is Lalita Ramdas. I'm not a Mumbaiker. I live across the harbour in Alibag. And I think one of my concerns would also be that what happens here in our redevelopment should also be linked with what's happening literally across the harbour. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you. I think we need a smart woman to make the kind of smart suggestions that we have. My questions actually, in a way, are linked with the question of who is the city. I think that what we need to know maybe is what has been the experience of actually educating our political class. I think this has to be a partnership. We've talked a lot about it. Between the political class who needs to believe in this kind of change, the business and the builder class. And I think that is where we have been facing the toughest challenges, because clearly there are various nexuses which we all know of, but none of us are actually able to handle. And I think thirdly, the issue is, given the disparities in Indian society, if we're talking of participation, conversation, and joint planning, how do we begin that? I think that we have great challenges. Thanks.
I think we can take one more question and then we'll answer.
Hi, my name is Gautam Parekh. I am one of the lessees of property of Mumbai Port Trust. I'd like to bring in a different perspective. I think while this discussion has been enlightening, I think we have one very important perspective, that is look over. These lands that you are referring to are actually leased out to individual businesses or individual people who have been carrying on their businesses for the last 40, 50 years. What BPT has done, based on some really World Bank report in 60s or 70s, is commenced a process of discontinuing 2,700 leases of all these people. And now, after having reached to Supreme Court in 2004, after 2.5 long decade battle, Supreme Court directed them to settle the leases so that they could be renewed. In last 10 years, from 2004 till 2014, Guess how many leases have been renewed? 5. 5 out of 2,700. In my case, I paid more than 2 crore rupees to BPT, but BPT yet has not renewed the lease. And this is a typical example of license raj. You cannot do business in BPT area without a renewed lease. They will not give you a renewed lease. And so everything you do is illegal, so that under the garb of illegal breaches, they can snatch your property away through Public Premises Eviction Act. This is the real fact of BPT. While you are talking about developing portlands, and that's wonderful, I appreciate having these things, but whose land is this? This is lands of people who have invested generations worth of hard work, blood and sweat to get these pieces and operate businesses. And one other thing that all of you may or may not realize, this entire belt is the backbone of Mumbai city in terms of supply chain. All the retail outlets that you go to, all the malls, all the kirana stores that you go and shop to, all the things come from warehouses, and the warehouses are all located from Cotton Green to Colaba. So when you take this part out, either you should have ability through waterways or wherever, airways, to go to the actual agricultural farm to get the produce back, because otherwise you are not going to get it.
Yeah, I think I understand your question, and allow me please to answer.
Actually, if you just allow me for half a minute more. So what's happening here is that we have a very, very myopic view here. Under the garb of development, DPT is moving forward in trying to form whatever organization is trying to form to snatch away these lands and then use it. And one of the things that they have done recently, I don't know how many of you know Radio Club or Yacht Club, they have served notice under this pretext to Radio Club for evasion, because BPT officers need a place to relax.
Sir, we get
So I'm just saying that this is something that we should keep in mind.
I'm going to just make a very short comment, and then I'm going to invite an expert.
So I think the first question...
No, I want to start with the last question.
Okay, you want to start with that?
Because it's really, really important. I think this is the key matter. I'm so glad you asked the question. This is the key. I'm saying the government should continue to own the land and lease it for the good of the country. This is Port Trust. They own the land, they hold the land in trust for the country. I want to very, very briefly tell you about Japan. When the tsunami happened and the nuclear disaster happened, so the government said now we have to shut down our power plants. Who's going to have, so we encourage you all to please reduce your electricity consumption by 25%. The electricity consumption is, reduces by 30%. No law, nobody's checking. I had a friend, you go to her house, it's so hot. I said, can't you just turn on the AC? Who will know? She said, I don't know. Okay. So why can't we begin to think about our bigger good? I'm doing some work in China. I talked to a person who lost their land. And I said, the government, in India, this would never happen. The government, big colony, big squatter colony they want to clear, they called everybody to a meeting. When they went home, there's already bulldozers there and they have a slip. This is your new home. I said, this would never happen in a democracy in India. She said, it really hurts me. It's destroyed my host house, but it's good for my country. Can we begin to think like that? Can we begin to think about ourselves? And I totally believe that your land, your lease, there will be there will be some kind of agreement. Do you want to quickly, 1 minute comment on that? And then we have to bring it
I'm going to ask Admiral Rao, who's been working in this area for a long, long time, to respond to that.
This is so important. And we'll continue to talk about it afterwards also, because the time is coming to an end.
Thank you, Geeta. I just collected a few facts which based on my RTI, so I'm very confident of those facts. I'm not going to comment, but I just place these facts before you, but I'm no expert. And if I'm wrong in the facts, kindly correct me. The Fortress owns a total of 1,800 acres of land. Let us say very, very round figures. about 200 acres are the actual docks. There are about another 200 acres or 300 acres for roads, their own hospitals, etc. What is left is about 1,000 acres. Now, these 1,000 acres are from Vadala to Colaba, and these various plots and various reclamations which were done between, I think, 1888 to about 1920. These have all been given names on the map. They called Elphinstone Estate or Sivri Estate or Masgone Reclamation and so on. We first identify which are the areas which are readily available for redevelopment. We could easily divide this. What is in Colaba, for example, east of the Colaba Causeway is all reclamation. That's all given for housing. My personal understanding is that if you have a roof over your head and you have a lease from the government or any public authority, you can plead that, please renew my lease. And my understanding is that unless the lessor can prove that his need for that piece of land is greater than the lessee, the courts will support the lessee and he will continue the lease. And there are very few cases where the lessee has been ousted. And I think that legal situation will remain. So please let us assure all the people living in Colaba, Meriwether Road, etc., who formed associations, to say that the Portland's movement, the Optic movement, even the Ranigaru committee, what we expect, is not even looking at Colaba. Cafe Leopold will continue. So all the other people, Cafe Monte Carlo, all your favorite places, nobody is even thinking about that. What we are considering is, a prime example is, of Haji Bandar, Hindustan Levers was given a plot of about 15 hectares, nearly 25 acres of land for a soap factory. The soap factory was closed down about 25 years ago. Tata Oil Mills closed down. Firestone Tires, a foreign company, was given a plot of something like 55 hectares. These plots are derelict. The one part of the Bodystone is a jungle with nice, strong trees, which are ready-made Central Park. In the southern part of it, 55 hectares are being used for coal dumping. Now, I put it to you that these leases should not be extended. For all people, even in that area, in Ray Road, there is one or two plots where residential housing has been allowed. They will certainly stay. But anyone whose commercial purpose, the condition of the lease was for purely commercial purposes, that is the soap factory. The soap factory moved away 30 years ago just because you can hire a bigger and more high-profile lawyer. It does not mean that you are right. Therefore, all we are saying is that please tell everybody that we are not, rather the Opti movement is not in any way going to affect people's homes. We are interested in acquiring land which is being misused for either gold dumping, for shipbreaking, or for bootlegging. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. I hope that yes, you will at least. But I also want to say that I was giving an example of China and Japan. But in India, we know how to get together and make enormous sacrifices when we got our independence. But Gandhi would not be happy today because we haven't gotten freedom from poverty. So it's one more time we have to come together and go on with it. The young man who said water sports, yes. What a great idea. Sports has to be an integral part of the city. Quality of life is a very important thing. You mentioned about who is the city. We are the city, but the key is to organize in a constructive way, not just say what the government did is not good, but come up with creative ideas. Housing societies, for example, in New York, public participation is they hire the top-notch designers and come up with, this is a better idea, why don't you do that? So that kind of a constructive dialogue, I think, is very necessary. So I thank you one more time for listening.
I'm going to request Dr. Kanoria, who's the member of the IMC's Urban Development Committee, to hand over a token of our appreciation for your time and mentorship to the entire committee, and the larger movements of what to do about this.